Good morning and welcome to the Sunday celebrations here for the Centers of Spiritual Living Denver. We are a loving and prospering community here in the heart of Capitol Hill and online. We know that with everything going on, life can feel overwhelming. Here at CSL Denver, we want you to know that we are here for you. Please know that our practitioners are available for prayer work with you. Our names and phone numbers are on the website at www.cslddenver.org. Or if you have a prayer request, please email it to info@cslddenver.org. Reverend Elzia, along with all of our guest speakers, all of our practitioners, our music and service coordinators, want you to know how truly grateful we are for your online support. Thank you for watching our Sunday services, attending our online workshops and events, and providing financial support so that we can keep our virtual doors open. We love you all and know we'll be seeing you in person in the right and perfect time. And now, we'll continue to meet online until further notice. If you're interested in upcoming events and information, we send out weekly newsletters. Please go to www.cslddenver.org and sign up for our newsletters. We only send out one per week. Or send an email to info@cslddenver.org and request to be put on our mailing list. This week we are having our usual Zoom fellowship right after service. If you haven't already received an email this morning, please send an email to info@cslddenver.org to request a Zoom invitation. Please join us. We would love to say hi and catch up with you. That's it for the announcements this Sunday. Again, thank you for tuning in, and now back to our service.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
Good morning. I'm Bill Carlton, a practitioner at CSL Denver Church. I invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and release all negative emotion. Just be present right here in this beautiful world. We feel that oneness of God surrounding all of us involved in this service and those who are watching. Allow all of us to be in gratitude for our power of balance of our emotions, pluses and minuses. I acknowledge and give thanks to all that has brought us here in this moment. I release these words to the universe, knowing that they return to us tenfold. We are blessed and grateful for our emotions and our feelings. Quote, this is a saying, or this is about saying yes to life. That doesn't mean that you sit down by the side of the road and let it run over you. It means at your core, you know that everything in your life is for you. It is not just a random series of events. Life is an interesting, intelligent process. It knows what it is doing, and opening to it is safe. This is from What's in the Way by Mary O'Malley, page 227. Nothing else can satisfy or fulfill unless you enjoy the freedom that comes from control of your inner world, of mind and emotions. From Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth, page 76. And now, a little more from Alice.
Thank you, Bill. So I wanted to let everybody know that our guest musician this month, for the month of May, is Ray Davis. And Ray is a singer, songwriter on a mission to personally introduce the world to high vibe music and arts. High vibe, according to Ray, celebrates the best and highest ideas about life, humanity, and each individual's unique opportunity to contribute something good to the world. Ray's music moves fluidly through funk, soul, jazz, gospel, and pop without losing connection to its life-affirming, positive spiritual message. His beautiful, soulful voice delivers well-crafted, hook-driven songs that speak to the best in all of us. Originally from Compton, California, Ray has been sharing his high vibe music with audiences in clubs and spiritual centers throughout Southern California for the past 14 years. And Diego, our producer, was so excited to hear that Ray was our musical guest because he used to be in the choir with Ray at the Agape Church in Los Angeles. So please help me welcome Ray Davis with Haven't You Heard?
Hey, CSL Denver. This is Ray Davis from Los Angeles, California, and I am pleased to say that I am your musical inspiration for the merry, merry month of May. I'm so grateful to be here with you today. So grateful indeed to share this life divine. Got some high vibe music for you today. Check this lyric. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? You're the light lighting up the world. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? In you there's no darkness. Oh, haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? You're the bread. You're the wine, the word. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? Ooh, 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 ooh. Ba, 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 ba. I know sometimes it's hard for you to clearly see just how you're gonna keep it together. Your obligations and responsibilities, how you gonna meet them ends, how you gonna make it one more time. But now let's hear the truth of it. You are much, much more than this. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? You're the light lighting up the world. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? In you there's no darkness. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? You're the bread, you're the wine, the word. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? You're the light of the universe. I know sometimes it's hard to hold your head up high and show the world you've got it together. You think of things that make you wanna run and hide. Who would love you if they knew who you're? Who could you trust to understand? Now let's hear the truth of it. You are loved much more than this. Haven't you heard? Oh, haven't you heard? You're the light lighting up the world. Haven't you heard? Oh, haven't you heard? You there's no darkness. Haven't you heard? Oh, haven't you heard? You're the bread, you're the wine, the word. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? You're the light of the universe. You're not the things you have done. You're not the words that you've said or the heartache that you're going through. Whoa, you are the bright of the sun. You are the glow of the moon. And in your presence, the things that seem dark fade away. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? You're the light lighting up the world. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? You there's no darkness. Oh, haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? You're the bread, you're the wine, the word. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? You're the light of the universe. You're the light lighting up the world. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard?
Wow. Thank you so much, Brother Ray. And thank you so much for all of that wonderful uplifting music. And we want to thank Bill for that wonderful reading. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. And welcome to CSL Denver, a place, a space, and a face of love. A spiritual community teaching ancient wisdom and applying universal principles to embody the intelligence of the divine and to empower our lives and the lives of others. I want to know that today is May Day. Now, some of you may remember that back when you were in kindergarten or first grade and they had May Day and always happens on the first. Some people do it on the first Monday. But for those who celebrate and understand the meaning of that holiday, happy May Day. Because this is a time, this month is a time when many cultures around the world are focusing on unity and togetherness and rebirth, where we come together to celebrate life. And so it's so fitting that this month that we look at this idea of a life of wonder, looking at emotions. And today we're going to explore this idea of emotional balance. Because, see, as we explore the wonders of emotion and look into what it means to find and have emotional balance, it sets the tone for everything. Because it is then that we're able to navigate the waters of life. And so when we think about it, here it's May and the first third of the year has gone by. I mean, we are already 4 months gone into the year. And you might be asking, wow, where did it go? And in that short period of time, some might say, I mean, Russia has invaded Ukraine and school is about to come to an end and China is back on lockdown. Oh, and did I mention they've reduced the mask mandate. So now we're into a whole new world after being where we were for the last 2 years, 2.5, 3 years, depends on when you started counting. And so as we continue to move forward in 2022, we want to find out how we can stabilize ourselves in these turbulent seas where our emotions are challenged every day. And we seek to find balance in relationships and livelihood, and most importantly, our lives. Because you see, when we are navigating the seas of emotion, we're like explorers. We are looking to chart a course to a destination. But until we can understand the environment we are in, it's difficult to chart that course. But as long as we know the destination, and for us, we know the destination is to actualize the purpose of who and what we are in God. And so I just want to start by saying this, that no matter what's going on, we cannot direct the wind, but we can adjust ourselves. We can adjust ourselves to the wind. And so that's what we're looking to do here, is to adjust ourselves to the emotional winds and the emotional seas that we find ourselves in, and to find balance so that we become true children of the Most High God. Now, the best place to start when you're in a turbulent sea is to understand the sea, right? So when we look at what it means to say emotions, we know that emotions are biochemical reactions within our body to the physical and psychological experiences that we've had. So if we seek to find this balance, we must ask these questions and come to understand exactly what this thing called emotions represents and how they relate to feelings, and what does thought have to do with it. Because see, with that complex of thought, feeling, and emotions, we begin to navigate in our ship called life, this body that we're in, to begin to say, what is it that we're doing? Where are we going? Why are we here? And so as we look at what it means to really find emotional balance, this is the key. This is the key right here. Where we begin to find emotions, we understand that they are the biochemical reactions that stem from the internal and external experiences of our life. And once we understand that, we begin to realize that the feelings that we are feeling are the result of the thoughts interpreting our personal experience and their associations with these emotional experiences. And at the root there is the thoughts or the mental processes that serve as the link between our emotions and our feelings. And so when we begin to realize how these things are connected, we can anchor into the whole thought that Ernest Holmes says in our teachings: change your thinking and change your life. Change your thinking and change your life. Because we see here that our emotions are based on some internal or external experiences we've had. And we have thoughts about that begin to create this thought, feeling, emotion roller coaster, if you will, or this ship that we are sailing. And so as we learn to adjust our sails, which are our thoughts, we begin to find balance. Now, I don't know how many or if any of you have ever gone on a sailboat or taken sailing or just took a ride on a sailboat. I tell you this, I back in the olden days, as they say, I took sailing, and I had this idea. I'm also a scuba diver, so I wanted to learn to sail, and I had the idea of sailing along the eastern shore coast and diving and just having a grand time. So I took a sailing class and a basic navigational class. And one thing that the instructor taught us, they taught us all the stuff about how to read the wind and how to trim your sails and how to anchor. But there was one thing that he let us know, that if you get into a situation where the seas are too rough and the winds are blowing, you have a couple of choices. You can either drop sail, or you can trim your sail and head straight into the wind. You can trim your sails and head straight into the wind. And so when we look here at Ernest's words, Ernest says it like this: in the well-balanced person, emotion is controlled by the intellect. But in many people, there's conflict between the emotion and the intelligence. Emotion uncontrolled produces chaos. Emotions uncontrolled creates chaos. And so we begin to realize that these are things that we have to get our understanding with. We have to understand that as we begin to trim ourselves, learn about our emotions, check our thoughts, relate them to our feelings, we begin to say, I can do this. I can trim myself. I can watch my emotions. I can see what triggers me to have this emotion that creates this feeling inside. And if I'm very diligent, I can trace back to a thought that may have put it into motion. Because see, these experiences unto themselves, they only have the meaning that we assign to them. So if my thinking about a thing is one way and I assign a meaning to it based on that thought, it will generate feelings. And if we're not in tune with the universe, finding balance in this environment becomes very, very difficult. Very difficult. And so one thing I think that's key, and I think a lot of you, if not most of you, have heard of Abraham Hicks. And if you're familiar with Abraham Hicks, Abraham has this whole presentation where she taps into our emotions and the emotional scale. And so when we think about that and we look at this emotional scale, and I apologize that I couldn't get this clearer. We see here we have these up and down spirals of emotions, where we look over on the downward spiral, and at the very bottom there's fear and grief and depression. But if we can move beyond that and say move up a couple steps, we might get to revenge. Now, we don't want to stay at revenge because some bad things can happen at the revenge stage. But if we keep changing and looking at the ideas and things that are causing us to be out of balance, hopefully we can move up to be bored. We can move up to what's represented here is number 8 and boredom. But by doing that, we begin to adjust our sails of emotion. We begin to navigate these waters of our feeling and understand that when we have a feeling that is tied to an emotion, which is basically some experience we've had, we've assigned a meaning to it. And when we can become bored with it, if you will, we can move up to optimism and say, well, that's, I can be hopeful. And then from there, I can move up to optimism. And so here is what we have to do. We have to begin to understand these emotions and navigate and understand that life is trying to find that balance, right? We're looking on that scale to find balance. Balance in our lives, balance in our relationships, balance in everything we do, our exercise, our eating, everything. Because that's when we begin to realize that as we focus on our mental equivalence, the very thoughts that create our world, we begin to gain a different perspective. We get a better understanding of all our spiritual tools, and we don't seek to pray things away or try to, as some say, do a spiritual bypass. But we look to understand that seed, understand that emotion, understand that feeling, so that we can adjust ourselves. So that we can adjust ourselves and move through life with ease and grace. And so we understand now that we have this complex of thought, feeling, and emotions, and however you want to traverse, you can go from emotion to feeling to thought. It's an interconnected idea. And so when we begin to find balance or look for that key called balance, I'll give you 3 things that we need to do. 3 things so that we can begin to find this emotional balance and live our best life. So the first thing is from life. You cannot run. Running will not save you. When you have these difficult emotions and they pop up and you feel some type of way, you can't run. What has to be, and there's a reason that most of us run. Let me say this, because often, and this is probably more true with the males than with anything else, we are taught to shut down our emotions. We're taught not to trust our emotions. But our emotions are like the indicators in our car, whether it's our oil, our gas, or our air pressure. They are there to indicate what's going on, how we're navigating. And so when we see these emotional things pop up that are not balanced, that cause us to go on some tangent, we have to stop and take a moment to understand it. Because, as I said earlier, these thoughts are not bad. We're taught that oftentimes that they're bad. And so we run away. But that's not the key. The key is to turn and face that emotion, to face the wind, so that we can begin to truly learn to navigate life, because things in life will happen. And we will have some emotional reactions to them, whether something happened outside or whether I'm remembering something or some experience in my head. But there's a verse in a poem that I learned a long time ago. Name of that poem is See It Through. And I just want to read one little verse where it says, black may be the clouds about you, and your future may seem grim. But don't let your nerves desert you. Keep yourself in fighting trim. If the worst is bound to happen, in spite of all that you may do, running from it will not save you. See it through. And that's what we want to do. Running won't save us. So we have to see it through. That's the first thing when we look for balance, when we feel out of sorts, when we are angry or feeling revengeful even. We want to see it through till we get to that top place of joy. That top place of joy. And so to do that, the second thing that we must do when we're looking for this emotional balance is we must embrace all of life. We must embrace all of life. You see, because wherever there's rain, there's also sunshine. Wherever there's an up, there's also a down. And we have to embrace all of it if we're going to engage fully in life, if we're going to enjoy the fruits of our labor, as they say. So to do that, we must look at our inner experiences and our outer experiences and create new ideas, new ways of looking at things when we can see a better perspective of what it is we're doing. That's key. We have to embrace it all. And we have to find that frequency, that pivotal point where we feel into the situation. Right? And so how do we do that? Right? The best way to do that is through spiritual practice. That practice of spiritual tools is essential. Just think about the first time. Take you back in time here. Think about the first time you got on a seesaw. And if you never got on one, you should go find one and go with a friend and get on the seesaw. Because the first time you get on, if the other person is a lot heavier than you, boom, you just go straight up. And if you're the heavy person, you just go straight down. And so neither one of those are fun, right? The joy of the seesaw is getting that balance, working towards that balance where you're moving up and down until you find that sweet spot where you can sit there and just very easily look at each other and marvel at how you've interacted with your environment and created this fun engagement where you're trying to find your space. And that's practice. That's what we have spiritual practice for, to embrace the heaviness of one person and the lightness of one person. And the longer the seesaw, the bigger the emotion that is, the more difficult it is to find that. And when you get the practice in, you begin to feel into that. You listen with your heart and you feel into that balance and you find it. And now the seesaw is fun. You can adjust. You can fully immerse yourself in going up, but then you can relax and let it come back down. That's what we're doing in life. Not that we're running. Remember, running will not save you. So we have to engage it and embrace it and begin to practice our spiritual tools, or practice life using our spiritual tools, so that we can fine tune our listening and we can feel into the balance, so that we know exactly what's needed in every moment. And to do that, the key point, I believe, to rising above and finding that space where we are ready for a new way of living, is to stay aware. Listen and stay aware. Because on that seesaw, if you remember, you had to be aware of where you were, of how you adjusting your body, whether you're leaning back so you get a more leverage point on the other person and bring them up. So we have to stay aware. Be aware of your surroundings. That's what balance is. Balance is trying to take all these various things in our lives and put them in their proper perspective. But to do that, I must be aware of them. So I had to be aware that when I'm driving in the car and the guy stops short, that I normally would, say some nice words to him. or when I don't get my way, that I start pouting, whatever it is. Be aware. And then we have to feel into that situation. Really begin to tune into the intuition that we have, that God has given us as a secret weapon, as a superpower. That's our superpower. So if you want to put your cape on, tune into your intuition, so that we can really begin to find balance in life. And last but not least, once we've done that, once we've understood that we can't run, and that praying things away is not going to happen, we use prayer to align ourselves with the guidance and the frequency of the divine, because God has created all things. So we can't pray it away. We have to understand it, get in tune with it, and align ourselves on the higher end of the spectrum. And so once we've done that, we've embraced it all, and we'll listen, and we're trying to rise above. And to do that, as we saw in that scale by Abraham Hicks, is what do we need to do to increase the vibration to move up, to find that balance. And when we can do that, we can embrace life fully. We can join any manner of conflict, joy, celebration, and be grateful, knowing that it all leads us to a place of a higher understanding, a greater respect for our universe, and an appreciation for God, the divine mind and wisdom of the entire cosmos. Because that is when we find true balance, when we can put everything in perspective and take everything into account to the best of our ability and move forward with the grace of God. So in summary, as we learn about our emotions, for greater understanding on how critical they are in our growth and development, and more importantly, our well-being, rather than flee from emotion, let's begin to be curious about it. Let's begin to ask questions of ourselves, of the universe, of God itself, so that we begin to live in a way that is balanced and even. And I'd like to share this last quote here that says, emotions by themselves are neither good nor bad. They are simply reactions. However, the way we act or don't act on our emotion can strongly affect our well-being. Can strongly affect our well-being. And so that's what we are looking to do today, tomorrow, the next day, and every day for the rest of the year. We're looking to move in a way that allows us to be in joy, to find the play in our hearts and our minds and explore life as one might do on a sailboat, allowing the wind to blow in our hair and our face and to seek play and laughter with the divine. And so with that, I'd like to invite everyone this week, as we always do, to move into this space of call to action. And so this week, the call to action is, where are you out of balance in your life? Where are you out of balance in your life? It could be physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, because it's all connected. And when you can find that and identify one thing, look for the thought, feeling, and emotion that's the cause of it, that's behind it, that takes you out of sorts or causes you joy. Because remember, there's no good or bad in it. It's just, it is. And then we assign a meaning. So let's investigate. And then let's look for ways to reframe the cause, strive to find balance. Look for the cause and strive to find balance. And so when we do that, we can anchor into the affirmation for this week, which is, I am blessed and grateful for my emotions and feelings. I am blessed and grateful for my emotions and feelings, because they are the substance of life. They are the things that give me joy. They are the things that allow me to help myself and my fellow human being. Let us pray. So as we just give honor and thanks to God, that cause and effect, that balancing aspect of the whole cosmos, that has placed inside each and every one of us a frequency, a balancing point, an energy that is capable of living a life that is exemplary, that is a reflection of the intelligence of God. And because that spark, that intelligence, that vibratory energy that is within us, that has come from the divine, is a part of who and what we are, we allow it now, this moment, to expand, to rise, to shine, to move forward in this way of coming about. Because as we said earlier, this May Day, this day of coming together in unity and expressing the joy of life, is what it's all about. And so with that, I declare, and I know for each and every one of us, that we are awakening to this moment. We are awakening to the balance of life, and that our emotions and our feelings and our thoughts are in line with the divine. And so now we just relax. We relax and allow this knowledge, this understanding, this feeling that we have about God and life and who we are and how to navigate the seas to wash over us, so that we embody it in everything we do. And as we do that and we allow it to be the anchor in our lives, we give thanks. We give thanks because we know when to raise the sail, when to drop the sail, when to set anchor in this sea of emotions, in this sea of turbulent waters sometime, and be able to navigate to the destination of being a divine inspiration of God. so that when they look at you, when they look at me, when they look at all those who are in alignment with the divine, they get a spark themselves. And so it is in that spark, it is in that wind that's blowing that I release this prayer, knowing that the wind will gather and move it where it needs to be. And that there's a law that operates in that space that will manifest this prayer in our hearts and our minds, that will produce greater than we ever thought could be possible. And so with that, I release, I let go. I know that this prayer has already been answered, and it is so. And so it is. Amen, amen, and amen. And so I just want to thank everyone that's here today. It's such a glorious day here in Colorado. In the last couple of days, we've had some serious wind. In some cases, it felt like hurricane wind. So now we got a little calmer sea to sail and find balance in this water called life. And so at this time, I'd like to graciously thank you and let you know that we are so grateful and blessed for everyone that supports CSL Denver, whether it's in your time, treasure, or talent, and especially now as we continue to unfold into a new way of living. Whether this is your first time or you're a returning member or participant in the community, we want to thank you for your financial support. This helps us keep things in line. And right now, you'll see running across the bottom of your screen the many different ways in which you can give. You can either do it by cell phone, by texting to 844-454-0918, or you can go to the website and click the donate button, or you can send a check or money order to the P.O. Box, CSL Denver, P.O. Box 300416, Denver, Colorado 80203, and we will get it. So thank you so much for your support. And now, if you take that tithe and place it to your heart or your hand, if you're on an auto tithe, and repeat our customary affirmation. This perfect gift is spirit informed, circulating and blessing all that it touches. Freely I give, and joyously I receive, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Elzia. Beautiful talk. I'm going to be in charge of my emotions and feelings this week.
Yes.
So we just have one announcement. It's our standard one, that our usual virtual fellowship is on Zoom this morning, and we would love for you to come and join us and let us know how you're doing. If you didn't receive the Zoom invitation that I sent out earlier, it was about 8:30 Denver time, please send an email to info@csldenver.org and mention fellowship, and we'll send you a Zoom invitation right away. So we are so grateful for you all. Thank you so much for watching us, for spending time with us, for sharing your tithes with us. We love you all, and know that we will be seeing each other soon. So meanwhile, we hope you have a wonderful week, and affirm right here and right now that 2022 is blessed and perfect in all that it is, warts and all. So we love you and we miss you. Please take care of yourselves, and let's close out with I release and I let go.
There was a time in my life, thought I had to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, gotta let it go. Gotta let it go. You gotta let it all And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life and my heart is open. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. My faith I see the light. I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience? Or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.